Rod Baxley, Fayetteville Observer. Guys, when you watch Michigan State on film, what stands out?
They're a physical team. They're good defensively. They've got a really good half-court defense. They like to push the pace in transition. We did some scouting personnel, obviously, last night. So, we're ready to go out and compete and play against a good team on Saturday. Harrison?
Yeah, to add on to what he said, they're a physical team. They got a pretty good guard in Walker, who's been averaging about 20 points a game. He's tough, make shots out the dribble, make three-point shots. They got good big men, 4 big men that they rotate through, so they have a lot of depth and a lot of strength. And they play Big Ten basketball, which is more physical.
Front row.
Hi, for both of you guys. North Carolina has been an elite program forever. Mm-hmm. Michigan State more so only the last 25 years or so with Coach Izzo, but that encompasses your entire lifetime. I wonder how you guys think when you hear Michigan State compared to how maybe older fans think.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a surreal moment to think about. For the right to go to the Sweet 16, you got to face Tom Izzo and Michigan State. They're a great team that up and down the year, but they're preseason top 5, and they earn their right to the tournament, and they're a really good team. We're ready to go.
Cormac?
Yeah, I mean, 2, like you said, historic programs, obviously very well known in college basketball, especially over the last 25 years. So you can't ask for anything better in March Madness to go up and play against great teams, great programs, and come away with a great win.
To our right.
Brett Friedlander, SaturdayRoad.com. I'd like both players to address this. How much is toughness going to play into tomorrow's game, and how much do you two factor into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts and ends with toughness for us. That's something we've prided ourselves on all year, is living in the trenches, being tough, playing gritty, doing the dirty work, doing the little things. That's when we're at our best, and that's what fuels us. And so tomorrow's no different. We got to bring the toughness, we got to bring the edge, bring the fight. And Michigan State's a tough team, and the Big Ten's a tough conference, but we're a tough team, and we've shown that all year, and that's really what gets us going.
100% to add on what he said. I know we play a small ball where there's a lot of small lineups, people kind of playing down their position, and a lot of teams will come in with the mentality of trying to bully us, and we feel like a lot of teams have done that throughout the year. They thought that was the scouting report or whatever, and I feel like we've always stepped up and for the challenge, and I think we're ready to go tomorrow too.
Back of the room.
Michael Coe, WCHL and ChapelBoro.com. This is for both Harrison and Cormac. Elliott said he played terrible yesterday against Wagner. What have you guys said to him to just keep his spirits up as he prepares to face a really good backcourt in Michigan State?
Elliott, he's a freshman, so he was a 5-star freshman coming out. He reclassed up, so he should still be in high school right now. So for him to be doing what he's doing, I mean, point guard on the #1 team in the country is pretty amazing in itself. And as a freshman, you have up and downs. There'll be games where you play good, games where you play bad. And for him as a great player, there's not much you really need to say to him because he knows he played bad. He knows what he needs to do. He knows what needs to be done as the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, Elliott, I've said this all year. Elliott is an incredibly mature freshman. People always like to attribute guys making freshman mistakes and whatnot. Like, one thing Elliott doesn't do is he's not a freshman level teammate. Like, he's an incredible teammate. His maturity is far beyond his grade or his class, and that's something that he's shown all season, is his ability to be a great teammate, continue to bounce back from tough games, tough performances. And so we have no doubt, not a single doubt, that he's going to continue to make incredibly big plays for us on Saturday and down the stretch for us, because that's who he is. He's a great player. He's a great teammate, and so we've got all the faith in the world in him. We know how good he is. We know how much we need him and how much this team values what he brings, and so can't say enough good things about Elliott, and we've got not a doubt in our mind that he's going to come ready to play, because that's who he is.
Middle of the room.
Adam Smith with Inside Carolina. Hey, guys. For both of you, just wondering, as you closed the book on Wagner last night, what sort of like the overall assessment of how you guys played was and how that matches up with maybe what you think about you need to improve on as you keep trying to advance in this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I think basketball is a game of up and downs, and there's always things to learn from any game you play. Obviously, being a first-round game, these games can get a little tricky at times, The teams you play are unique. They're from far different conferences that, you have a short window to prepare for. And so, look, Wagner's a good team. They're a conference champion. They play a unique style. And so I think the part of the game last night took a little bit of adjusting to how they were playing. I think us just settling in, kind of finding our rhythm. There's a lot of things we can improve on. I think taking care of the ball, we were a little sloppy with it. I think our pressure was a little, low at times. So there's obviously things you can learn from and grow from every single game. But, the big takeaway is that we were able to find our groove, our rhythm. We won the game by 28 points. We played well down the stretch, and we're a hungry team. And we know what it takes to kind of move forward in this tournament, and the level just raises every round you go to. And so obviously with Michigan State coming up tomorrow, that's a challenge and an exciting opponent for us to go and play against. So we're excited for that. We, are obviously, we wanted to win the game on Thursday, and we did that, and now we're moving on to Saturday.
I thought Cormac, that was a pretty long answer, but I think he answered. He spoke for the both of us.
Back row.
Blake Froling, Spartan Media Network. Cormac, for you. You played Michigan State last year at Notre Dame and had a big game. What do you remember from that matchup last year, and how different do these Spartans look compared to last year?
Yeah, I mean, they bring back a lot of the guys they had on that team last year. I think, at least 4 or 5 of the guys who played major minutes in that team. So a lot of similar guys, but, year to year things change, and I think obviously they're a little bit different this year. And we're different. I'm with a different group, and this is, I couldn't imagine a better team to go and take on Michigan State than the team we're with, we've brought to Charlotte here. And we've been saying it all year, like our chemistry, our togetherness, I think that's one of our biggest strengths. And so leaning on these guys going into tomorrow and just going out and competing and having fun.
To our right.
Hey guys, David Hale with ESPN. In the game last night, you had RJ and Armando both moved up in the all-time scoring record list for North Carolina, which they noted was a cool thing to do at the same time. I'm kind of curious, though, as much as they've had great individual careers, do you see them as sort of the sum is greater than the individual parts, and the way that they work together, they manage, lead the team together, and sort of the back and forth that the two of them have together as a group?
Harrison.
100%. I mean, they've been here for 4 and 5 years respectively. They've been in the Final Four on the run. They've also seen the bad side of it of not making the tournament last year, and then just having their leadership. As me personally, I never played in the NCAA tournament before, and hearing their thoughts, their voice of just kind of treating it as another game and not trying to put too much pressure on yourself, because knowing that if you lose, you're out. I mean, now is the time where one bad game, one bad loss, one bad defense possession can get you eliminated and into your whole season. And for them being there for us, it's such a calming aspect. Having RJ, he can score whenever he wants, and having Armando down low, he demands a double team. I mean, just having both those on the team makes everything easy for me.
Want to try, Cormac?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Harrison. I think I speak for the both of us in saying, those two guys were a big part of the reason why we came to Carolina. Is we know how talented they are. We know how historic they've been for this program. And playing alongside great players is what every great player should want to do. And it makes our jobs a lot easier. It's a luxury to have. And so we're fortunate to have two guys who are as accomplished as they are. And, we collectively are looking to help them out. They help us out. And that's something that we kind of thrive on, is those two, and, how they lead us, how they impact the game on the court and off the court.
Again, middle of the room.
Harrison, wanted to ask you, since Cormac was so good with the other question, for you've talked about not playing an NCAA tournament before, but also not maybe being hyper focused on watching every game and things like that. Since you are in it now, do you find yourself soaking it in more, trying to check other games, other scores, or just being do you find yourself sort of really getting into the experience more of it?
I mean, I think definitely I watched more games when I was not in it, just because I had more time to think about other teams and not really worried about who we're playing or the scouting report we're doing. But, for us this year, we've watched so much film. Right now we're watching so much film at Michigan State, whether it was Wagner, now it's Michigan State, just watching film of them. And me watching extra film on Synergy, that it's kind of hard to watch other games. It's kind of get burned out watching all that basketball. But, for me, I'm just happy to be here and just trying to soak in the moment and have a great time.
Back to the room.
This one's for Cormac. You played in the NCAA tournament before, obviously. Coach Davis, earlier this week, he said he broke down the NCAA tournament into sort of 3 separate tournaments. The Charlotte tournament, if you win, you go to LA. If you win, you go to Arizona. Was that sort of a brand new way of thinking about this event for you as someone who's played in it before?
Yeah, absolutely. I really like that framework. I thought that was really helpful for us. Everyone likes to talk about 6 games to win a championship, but 6 games is a lot of games. And I think for us to take it piece by piece, focus on Charlotte first and the task at hand. We're halfway done with the Charlotte tournament, and so being able to focus one at a time, I think is very important, to not get ahead of yourself and not get caught up in the long road to Phoenix, but just staying focused on what you can control and preparing to win the games that you come to play.
Kevin Guskowitz is now at Michigan State, and I understand that you knew him pretty well and had a lot of respect for him. Just wanted to get your thoughts on him wearing the other colors for this game.
Well, my relationship with him and his family, just a terrific person. The time that he served as chancellor at North Carolina was absolutely fantastic. But he's one of my friends, and I wish him the best at Michigan State, and Michigan State is lucky to have him.
Hubert, Scott Fowler from the Charlotte Observer. What do you tell Elliot Cadeau when he has a game when he doesn't perform as well as he wanted to on Thursday? And could you just talk in general about the guard matchups in this game Saturday?
Well, the guard matchups is going to be very key in determining, the outcome of the game. Elliot, his ability to be able to push the ball and create offense even before we start our offense has just been huge for us this year. He's really fast, and he's even faster with the ball. His ability to pass, I've loved his progression in terms of from a defensive standpoint, diving on loose balls, and that type of energy and effort, and is going to be needed against a really good Michigan State team tomorrow.
To our right.
Hubert, Nick Carboni from NBC Charlotte. Just wondering from a coach's perspective with Jalen and Harrison and Cormac coming into the program, what have they done to help make it work so well, but also what have your veteran players like Armando and RJ done as well to make it work?
Well, for whatever reason, this group from the start has just enjoyed being together. They just have, and they have wanted to be a team. And, it started off the court. Their personalities just work really well together, and it's translated out there on the floor. There's a genuine, each one of the guys genuinely wants their teammate to be successful. They understand the importance of each individual teammate and what it helps and what it brings for our team to be the best that it can be. And, having guys come in for the first year like Pax and Cormac and Harrison and them just diving into this team, this program, this university, and for guys like Armando and RJ that have been here to welcome them in and to be able to bring them in from the standpoint where it feels like Pax and Harrison and Jay Witt and all these guys have been here for more than just 1 year. The chemistry with this group is real, and it's been nice to be around.
Back left.
Trayvon Miles, ABC 11 in Raleigh. Hubert, I saw you guys practice at Johnson C. Smith the other day. Can you talk about some of your emotions walking into that place? And Armando and RJ just said they knew how special it was considering what kind of history your family has there.
Yeah, it's really cool. Johnson C. Smith is where my parents went to school, so that's where they met, and they decided to get married and have Hubert Jr. And so, to be able to go back there and to practice at Johnson C. Smith was a really big deal. I got to film, some of our practice and send it to my dad. And just to think that, my dad went to South Mecklenburg, so, he was, grew up in Pineville, North Carolina. He was the first group of high school students to integrate public schools in the Mecklenburg County. Went to Johnson C. Smith, and then now his son is the head coach at University of North Carolina, and they're practicing there before the NCAA Tournament. So it's just a pretty cool deal, and I'm glad we were able to experience that.
To our right.
Aaron Beard with the AP. Here you were talking yesterday about really having things on your mind about wanting things to go well for Armando in his last run. I'm kind of curious, you had a 4-year career where Dean Smith was your coach, teammates that came back every year. Can you even imagine what his career has been like from pandemic to a Hall of Fame coach retiring to NIL? I mean, from just a scope of his career has just been, I can't think of something like it.
Yeah, he has had a lot. I appreciate you saying that because, during his time in college, there's a number of things in college basketball that have changed. You talked about the NIL, the transfer portal, the extra COVID year, the involvement of agents, and coming off of a pandemic and changing coaches. And so he's had to, we always talk about how do you react and how do you respond specifically, to changes. And he's had to deal with that from a number of different directions and so for him to be able to embrace that and then be able to have the career that he has had, I think that's something to be celebrated for. And his commitment to this university and this program for 5 years, that's something that's new as well. And I'm glad he's a Tar Heel and he always will be. And it's been an honor and a privilege to be one of his coaches for the last 5 years.
Back left.
Michael Coe, WCHL, chapelboro.com. Hubert, with the retirements of a bunch of legendary college basketball coaches in the last few years, Coach Williams, Coach Boeheim, Coach K, Jay Wright, Coach Izzo is kind of the elder statesman, if you want to put it that way, of college basketball, or one of them. How cool is it for you as a coach to go up against someone like that for the first time?
Well, it's just really cool to be a part of college basketball and specifically be a coach alongside Coach Izzo. I've, for the longest of time, have been one of his biggest fans. As a player, I would have loved to play for him because not only his commitment to his players on the court, but his commitment to his players off the court, into his university and the community. I think he teaches life through basketball, and that's something that I experienced at Carolina through Coach Smith. And when I see Coach Izzo, it reminds me a lot of Coach Smith. And so it really is, I say this a lot, but it's an honor and a privilege to be on the sideline alongside with him, and for both of our teams to have an opportunity and a chance to compete tomorrow is a really big deal.
Far right aisle.
Hey, Hubert. Brendan Marks from The Athletic. A couple of players were mentioning how you told them that old Coach Smithism about win the Charlotte Invitational, you get invited to the next Invitational, you get invited to the next one. But you didn't mention that 2 years ago. They said, I was just wondering, you mentioned...
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did.
Okay.
They forgot.
How have you... That's obviously one of many things you've taken from Coach Smith and Coach Guthridge and Coach Williams. How does that filter of you doing your job through the lens of them? How has that continued to evolve the further you've gotten into your tenure?
Well, that's who I am. Even from the press conference, when I first accepted a job, I said the foundation of this program, I'm not veering from that. And I'm not veering from it because it's been successful, but more importantly, I've lived it and I believe in it. And I've said that along that path, along that foundation, it's important for me to walk that path, but to do it with my personality in my own shoes. And that's what I've tried to do in the last 3 years. But that's something Coach Smith did and Coach Williams, and the guys forgot. I did do it the first year, and I said, let's win the Fort Worth tournament. And then I said, let's win the Philadelphia tournament. And so that's not something that I just thought about this year. This is something that I've done since the time that I was here at Carolina as a player.
To our left.
Brendan Lunga, the Daily Tar Heel. With Pax playing against his dad tomorrow, I'm wondering if you've had any conversations with him about that and what you think that dynamic will be like tomorrow for Paxton.
Well, I mean, they've done it before. I mean, when he was at Brown, they played at Michigan State, and so this isn't a situation where he hasn't been in this situation before. And so the Wojcik family you can't ask for a more connected, better family to be around. Even on the off days that Coach Wojcik could, he would come and fly in to come see Pax play, whether it was on the road or at home. And so being able to go out there and compete against each other, it's something that they've done before, and I don't think it's an issue. It's Michigan State versus North Carolina, and it'll be a good game tomorrow.
Back to our right.
Hubert, I know you already spoke about JCSU. While you were speaking about the program, Coach Joyner announced his retirement. I don't know if you have how much experience you have with him. I know you spoke to him the other day at the gym.
Yeah, he's just a long-time legendary coach at Johnson C. Smith, and very sad to hear that he's not going to continue to be head coach. The things that I've loved about him as head coach is the same things that I've mentioned about Coach Smith, about Coach Izzo, about teaching life through basketball, and his service not only to his basketball program, but to Johnson C. Smith and to the Charlotte community, and for the CIAA has been something that has been remarkable. And so you talk about, legendary coaches that have retired. He is a legendary coach that's leaving the game.
Again to our right.
Hey, Hubert. Sorry, follow up. Armando was mentioning how with you like to give the players a scouting report maybe 2 or 3 days ahead of time if possible. How did you get to your philosophy in scouting? Because you've mentioned a few times Coach Smith would do, 1 dot for a good shooter, 2 dots for a good
scouting. Yeah.
Right. So how has your philosophy evolved from that?
I really believe it's come from the NBA. My time in the NBA, scouting is just huge, and it's even I tell the guys the scouting that we do is probably 5% of what is done in the NBA, and we play even more games. I mean, just the attention to detail in terms of scouting in the NBA is ridiculous, to the percentages of when a guy dribbles to his right and when he gets up off the bench and he hops on his left foot. This is the play that they're running. And so scouting report is not a cheat sheet. It's to give them and to guide them in their anticipation to be able to be the best out there on the floor. And I think it's important for the guys to do that. A huge reason also is not only for us, because I always say this to the guys, I'll never ask you to do anything that's a benefit for us, that's not a benefit for you personally. Giving these guys scouting reports and preparing them here allows them, or puts them in a position when they go to the next level, they've done this before. And so it's in preparation for them moving forward as well, so that when they go to the next level, they know what they're doing. And that's really important to me.